Savvy Central Radio, drawing out the best from our guests, with host Christina Nitchman.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Savvy Central Radio. This is your host, Christina Nitchman. Each week on Savvy, we host successful individuals and business owners, inviting them to share their dreams, stories, wisdom, and lessons learned in their field of business. Our guest today is Tony Edgell, author of The Hero Inside of You, a 90-day journey to purpose, power, and the person you were meant to be. Tony left a comfy and secure corporate job to pursue his life and purpose of inspiring and empowering people to find their purpose and live their dreams. To find out more about Tony or his new book, visit his website at TonyEdgell.com. Hi, Tony. Welcome to Savvy Central Radio. How are you?
Loving life. I am doing awesome. Thanks for having me on, Christina.
You're so welcome. I'm excited to have you out here. You have a story that many in our audience can relate to. Many, as I told you before our interview, are people and folks who actually started their business late in life who, for one reason or another, either had a catastrophe or a crisis and decided, hey, is this my purpose in life? Am I going to be doing the humdrum of what I do every day, or is there something grander and greater in my life? And you had a similar story. You were working in corporate America in a cushy, yummy job, and it wasn't fulfilling you, and you broke away from that to start your passion, which is helping others find their passion. And now you've written a book called The Hero Inside of You. So tell our audience a little bit about your journey and what led to your present path.
What led to my present path is lots of pain. I would say lots of pain of going to a job only for money. Basically no meaning whatsoever. And I was in tune with that story that a lot of us, or most of us, have been told since we were kids. That story is get a good job, make lots of money, and you'll be happy. The problem was I had a great job, made lots of money, but I was not happy at all. I mean, I can still remember driving to work every single day and dreading the day. I mean, really dreading the day. I was like, wow, there's got to be something more to life. And I went on a search to find it. And it was a search and a journey, and so glad I took the journey. When you take a journey like that, now I can help and serve lots of other people to help them find their purpose and passion and meaning in life.
Yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from, because I myself was one on the road of corporate America, and I, as we discussed earlier in our conversations together, was one that wanted to constantly climb up that corporate ladder. There was this elusive ladder that I thought if I reached the top, I'd finally be happy. Some VP or, president of a company. And I just never left me fulfilled. And 7 years before I actually left corporate America, I had the idea that this wasn't working for me. But it took me a long time to take that leap. How was it for you, Tony? Were you able to just take the leap, or did it take you a while to make that transition?
That's a great question. The answer starts where, yes, I did it pretty quickly, but I worked years before that building being courageous and building my intuition, like in listening to my intuition. And when you listen to your intuition, you are being extremely courageous. Anybody, you're being a hero because it's the opposite of what you've been taught and what society is telling you. So I started listening to that years and years and years before, I'd say 2-3 years before I actually made the decision. And I'll tell your audience, it starts out small. Do small things like start listening to your heart and soul inside. Like it'll be telling you to maybe do a little something for somebody. And your mind will be going, no, I don't want to do that. What are they going to think of me? Or it might be just simple smile and say hi to this person, and your mind will be fighting you. You don't know this person. What are they going to think of you? And you start out small, and like anything else, when you, like in the gym, building your muscle, you build your courageous muscle. And after a few years of doing this, finally my heart said, it's time to go. I have something else for you to do. Now, of course, I didn't clock out that day. I didn't clock out and say, see you, boss. It took me a couple months to finally say, okay, yes, it's time for me to go. And I walked out. I didn't walk out. I gave my 4-week notice, I would say.
I recall from your book that was the very definition of a hero for you, which is someone who's courageous and lives their greatest passion and purpose in the world. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Following that heart and being courageous. And it's a hero's journey. It's a lot of times the very opposite of what we think in our head it is and what society tells us it is. But I will say one thing. I will say what it is. It will make the world better and more beautiful. That it is.
And you're very right about that. I think we have this general myth in our society that, hey, if you go to school, go to college, get a good job, you're set for life. You're going to be happy. And we're given that kind of recipe. And often we follow those tracks and we're like at the end of the road going, wait a second, I'm not happy. This isn't working for me. And we're like, but this is what we're told we should do. And it only, like for me, what it came about for me is that I was feeling unfulfilled and not realizing why. And after many years of kind of working through, and here you mentioned something very important. You said, listen to your intuition. For 7 years, I really didn't listen to my intuition. I kept doing the same things over and over, the same habits, the same going to work, saying, I want things to be different. Kept saying it, but doing nothing different. And finally, after 7 years, I went to a self-help workshop. And it was the very first one I went to, and that was the ideas put forth were like the beginning steps of me starting to think differently, be different.
Yeah. Absolutely. What I like to call it, and it's so true, it's unlearning what we have been taught. Unlearning is key to it all. And what that means is we have all inherited thoughts and beliefs since we've been little. And we don't really examine that. Like you're like a fish out of water when you start examining that. Like, why would I examine my own thoughts? And I think the first step, you start looking at other people's thoughts and all that. But it's key to understanding why, like I think different than you and you think different than me, is one of the keys is our experiences. We had different experiences in life, and we also were around different people. And those people are people like your parents, aunts, uncles, relatives, teachers, coaches, the real big one, society. And what that does, it gives us all thoughts. And some of these thoughts disempower us from being and doing what we came to planet Earth to do.
Absolutely. And I'm sure many out there, including myself at one point, I was sitting in a corporate job going, I know I don't want this. I want something different. I'm saying it every day, but I have no idea where to even start on the path to finding and even rediscovering my purpose, my passion, and living in the world. What would you say to someone out there who's at that brink where they have no idea how to even begin?
Well, the brink is really comfort zone. And how comfort zone really works, it's all the thoughts we got telling us what will make us happy. So we're in like our own little prison, and this prison creates our comfort zone. And the best way I can explain that is someone that goes to a job for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Most of us know somebody like this. They are comfortable, but they're not happy. They're not happy. And anytime they decide to like maybe get another job or go out on their own or do something, that's when these disempowering thoughts show up. Like, oh my goodness, you'll get fired at the other job. You won't like it. What will people think? This and that. Just all these thoughts that stop us in our tracks from doing it. And you've learned that the best thing in 7 years is action. And action, and I'm sure you're, Christina, so aware of this, creates one thing. When it's out of your comfort zone, fear. It creates fear. And there is getting out of your fear or I won't say getting out of it, ignoring your fear is key. There's no one that can do this without having fear, but learning how to ignore it because it's in your comfort zone. You've been comfortable for a long time doing this. Now you're going to have fear. And I would lie to anybody to say they won't have fear, but it's rewarding. Anything it's so rewarding doing it.
And one thing that came up for me as you were talking there is the challenging of beliefs. And that's the first thing that started to come about when I joined this workshop, this self-help workshop that really started to pull back and say, hey, what do you believe? Why do you believe it? And is it really your belief? Because I'd never really examined it. And someone had asked me something about, okay, what do you think about so-and-so? And I said, well, this is what I believe. And they said, well, why? I said, because I just do. It's what I've always believed. But I couldn't give an answer where it even came from. And little by little, starting with that one workshop and then learning more and more as I kept taking more action and growing and learning and pulling back the layers, I realized that a great many of the beliefs running around in my head, that kind of constant chatter, a lot of those thoughts were not even my own.
Yeah. No, they're not your own. They're inherited. It's unbelievable when you really get involved in it. And it's funny how I started thinking about thoughts. It's very funny. Have you ever heard of Amish people? I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You know what Amish are?
Absolutely.
One day, I don't know what it was. All of a sudden I started thinking, you know what? If my parents were Amish, I would be Amish. Like all my thoughts would be Amish. I would be an Amish person. So I'm like, it's the strange. I don't know if it can resonate what I'm saying. It was how I learned this. It's like, no, wait a minute. How did I get all these other thoughts? It was like I learned it on my own. It was very, very, very strange. Can you understand how my example there?
Yeah, I get totally, because when I think you start opening and broadening your horizons and even listening to other people with other thoughts and beliefs, and then stop, how should you say, maybe put your own beliefs on hold for a bit just to hear what they have to say, you begin to realize, well, why do they think the way they think? Because they have totally different life experiences from you, totally different culture, growing up, different people in their lives that bring them to where they are today and the beliefs they have today.
Absolutely. And I will talk about another real strong belief that I battled with, and I didn't know it at the time, but now looking back, this belief that getting rich will make you absolutely happy and, be successful and all that, and you'll be full of joy and all that. I went to get rich quick schemes, I guess you would call it, these ones that get you all pumped up and you do that. I did that for years and years and years. Now, I'm not trying to say money's bad or anything, but I realized through that whole process that, look, no, wait a minute. Even if I all of a sudden have $10 million in the bank, I'm going to be the same exact person. That money's not going to do anything for me. So it was that belief that a lot of us have that that's the answer to all, that money will make you happy. I think, no, it's two things. It's twofold. It's first becoming the person that for this mission you have in life. And then the second thing is doing your purpose and meaning in life. That's where I will call it being alive. There's no substitute. There's nothing. It can't be bought. Nothing. It's being alive in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the whole idea of you'll make it rich and then you'll be happy, I mean, that's a lotto mentality too. And the idea of one day, if I win the lotto, it'll all be good.
It's actually a chapter in my book. It's a chapter in my book. It's called The Second Greatest Lie. And it's a whole chapter on this exact same thing, the second greatest lie. And I explained to you what our thoughts and how we were all just trained at. I mean, think about that. Ever since we've been little, we've been told that TV, it's the belief. I mean, I think almost everybody has that belief, like 99% of the people. It's amazing. Mm. It's just amazing. And then what's even more amazing is I remember, it's funny when you go back through your journey and you start realizing things you've done. I was actually around rich people, and I'm like, no, wait a minute. They're not like what I want to be. I'm not saying they're bad, but it wasn't like like, wow, they were full of life and just full of joy and just passion or anything. I'm like, man, that money didn't do it for me. And I remember really, really questioning that.
Yeah. I think what money can be good at, if you peel it back, is that it's a tool. It can help you, if you use it correctly, to have the tools to build a life where you can do what you love, you can do it when you want it, who you want to be around, when you want to be around those people, when you want to do what you love. So it might give you the tools to do that, but it itself will not give you joy and happiness.
Wow. I couldn't say that any better myself. I love that. That was incredible the way you said that. That's exactly right. I mean, I'm not saying you want to be poor and do your purpose and meaning in life. I'm just saying I learned something in going through my beliefs through this journey, and that was one belief. But yes, hopefully you got a purpose and meaning that you can make millions, probably can make millions and have the life which you just explained.
Absolutely, absolutely. Through all of your experiences in getting to where you are today, what has been the greatest obstacle you've come across, and how did you overcome it?
The greatest obstacle I came across would be two of them. First one would be writing the book. And the actual writing book, believe it or not, was pretty easy. The hardest part was getting to, how I wrote the book was longhand, like no computer, actually wrote it on a tablet. The hardest part was that 2-minute walk to that tablet and paper. That is the truest statement ever. When that pencil or pen, whatever I was using, started moving, oh man, it's just unbelievable how it flowed. And then the second thing was absolutely when it was done, I'm like, okay, let's put this in the bookstores. I'm ready to get this in the bookstores. And it was like, okay, how do I do that? How does that happen? And going through that process of getting it published and stuff was definitely, challenging and action and doing everything I'm talking about here, but it was more than I thought. I never thought about it. I'm like, okay, write a book and that's it. The whole process of getting it published would be what I would say the two hardest.
Yeah, and isn't that totally true? If say you want to lose weight, the hardest part is just getting started. Is usually the hardest, but once you get started, you look back and be like, wow, what was I complaining about for so long getting started? Like for me, 7 years waiting before I took that self-help course.
Yes. My hero, Martin Luther King, has a great quote and something about just take the first step. Don't look at the whole staircase. And good Lord, is that a great quote, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, just take that first step and then take the second step. And it's amazing. When you look at the whole staircase, whoa, that's when you'll be taken out of your game.
Yeah, because I think with the God-given talents we've been given, a lot of times I think God sees the whole picture before we can even imagine it. So if we try to even wrap our mind around it, we'll probably run for the hills and go like, I don't think so. But if you just take that one step in front of another, you begin to, okay, I can do this. Okay, another step. Oh, okay, I can do this. And then you look back 10 years later, you're like, wow, I would have never thought I could have accomplished that. I could have written a best-selling book, Tony.
Yeah, you're so right on that. And that's so funny because I still remember the first time God told me that what was ahead of me was he wanted, the best way I could be explained was somebody sort of like Wayne Dyer. That's what it was explained to me. And it scared me so bad. I still remember that day. It scared me. I was okay. Like if he would have said Tony Robbins, I'm okay with that. It was like the spiritual thing and the God thing. I'm like, oh no, wait a minute. That's my little private thing. I'm not into that. I want and it's amazing how much I've grown since that. Now now I understand how it all works and how, yes, it's my job to teach people how to get in touch with this heart and soul inside of us.
Isn't that true, Tony? I'm sure many out there who've started a project or done something that later on they look back and they're so proud of, that it couldn't have happened without them just taking that leap of faith and doing it. You know, it might seem impossible when you first got started, but then when you look back, you're like, hey, it wasn't as hard as I thought. All the obstacles I kind of made up in my head, and that's part of what you were talking about in the beginning of the conversation, that doubt and self-talk inside that already comes up to try to stop us and block us, that if you kind of ignore that and keep pushing forward, when you look back, when you've accomplished whatever it is you're going to accomplish, whether it's creating and living your greatest life or just losing weight or whatever it might be, when you finally accomplish it, you realize and you look back and you're like, it wasn't so hard when you take it step by step.
Oh, absolutely. Christina, the other thing that goes along with that, I think, is, sometimes we go, God, give me faith. God, give me courage. Well, you know what? God doesn't believe in the instant pill, the drive-through society. If you're asking for courage and you're asking for faith, he's going to give you things, experiences in life to have that. That's how it works.
Oh, I love that. You just touched on something so important, and I went through it when I started my business. I started a financial consulting business, been doing it in corporate for 20 years, so I, in my grand wisdom, thought I would make it an instant success, and that in a very short time I'd be making millions of dollars, and it didn't quite work like that. And what's interesting about what you mentioned is our culture, that of instant gratification. We want that, I want to lose weight, but I want to lose it in 6 months. I want to lose it in 1 week. What can I do to do that? Oh, an operation? Okay, let's do the quickest, simplest route. But what I like about what you just said is that God gives you everything you need to complete your mission, but he's going to give you the tools. Like many years ago, I think we talked about yesterday, I had said to God, I want to be peace in the world. So what did God put in my life? Everything that wasn't peace. And at the moment, you're living through it going, why am I living this hell? But without realizing that that is a gift for me to be able to live what I say I want to live in the world.
I love that. I'm laughing really hard because my whole theme and my whole journey is I want to teach people what I call the hero's journey. And a few times I went, wow. Do I, you're giving me the hero's journey, aren't you? I got it. Is this really what I want to do? But wow, when you go through it, the experiences you get, right? You're just so grateful for them. You're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I can say now is thank you for those great experiences.
Yeah, because you look back and you realize how you've made the world a better place by stepping up and being that, by being the hero in your case, and hopefully for everyone out there who goes out and lives and be their purpose. But also for me, when I chose at that very moment in my life to be peace, I not only gave for myself something that I didn't realize, like a strength I didn't realize I had, but also to others around me. So it's a grand gift if you say to God, hey, I want to do this, but then allow him to give you the gifts and use them.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, I love that. And very interesting. I'd like to explain to your audience what I define as a hero, because it can be a little you can't understand it, whatever the word I'm searching for. But you just touched on it, God's gifts right there. My definition of a hero is somebody that's sharing their purpose and meaning, their special, unique gift with the world and making it better and more beautiful. That's a hero to me. That's a hero, very much a hero, because maybe not always, but a lot of times it's, like I said, opposite of what our thoughts think we should be doing or what society's telling us. And that's why it's a hero doing that.
That is so awesome. And before we head on out here, I want you, Tony, to let everyone know where they can get in contact with you if they want to make contact with you and work with you as well. Get your wonderful new book, The Hero Inside of You.
Thank you so much for making that offer, Christina. First of all, you can go to my site, TonyEdgell.com. That's TonyEdgell.com. That's Tony with a Y, Edge with 2 L's. And you can buy my book on my site. And also, I have 2 special gifts for the audience. You can actually just try the book out. You can get 2 free chapters at my website. And I also have 5 free videos to start learning how to get your purpose and meaning in life. 5 free videos. And on that. And again, Christina, that is TonyEdgell.com, TonyEdgell.com. Tony with a Y, Edge with 2 L's.
You are so awesome. Thank you, Tony. And before we head on out, is there any last words you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yes. What the last words I would like to leave with your audience is the world needs your gift, needs all of our gifts, and we can do this together and make this world so much better and more beautiful. It's unbelievable what we can all do. We can all do.
Absolutely, Tony. Everyone, please go to TonyEdgell.com and get his book today, The Hero Inside of You. And thank you, Tony, for coming to Savvy Central Radio.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Christina. I loved every second of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wishing you a Happy New Year and a joyous, prosperous 2015. There's some exciting changes coming this 2015 for Savvy. We'll start videocasting some of our interviews. Also, stay tuned for a new book presently being worked on by my co-author and I, Karen Rowe. We'll talk about how to bridge the gap from worker bee to business owner, and the lessons we've learned on our journey to entrepreneurship. In addition, this spring we'll start live interview opportunities in Manhattan, which will later be aired on iHeartRadio, a new mix to business networking and interviews. For those interested in participating as a paid sponsor or interviewee, contact us at 718-713-2289 or savvycentralradio@gmail.com. Here's to 2015 being the best year yet for all of us.